On, Diana, Princess of Wales, is a public figure of world stature, a modern-day icon for beauty and glamour, the photogenic centerpiece of British royalty. As a leading player on the international stage, she's constantly in the limelight. Everywhere she goes, the cameras follow. But she's also known as the caring princess, and it's this natural openness and charm that has created a truly captive audience. She believes in reaching out and making contact. Communication is what it's all about, whether it's at the White House, on a formal visit to the Vatican, or just passing the time of day on a building site in Australia. A polished and confident public performer, she's managed to bring a spontaneity and sense of fun to the role of royal consort. Hers is an irresistible combination of enthusiasm and spectacular style, and her public react with genuine warmth and affection. It's a unique relationship. For herself, she's achieved the difficult balance between her public and private life as a wife and mother. But on the day she set off on her honeymoon, all this lay ahead. The gradual emergence of a poised and mature princess from the young novice of only 20 needed expert advice, careful grooming, and determination. Undaunted by the weight of royal protocol, Diana's strength of character has led her to a style all her own. Shy Di has come a long way. Born a commoner, she represented a vital link with the world outside the palace walls. And like the Queen Mother before her, it would be she who would one day set the tone of her husband's reign. But first, it was a case of learning the ropes. Prince Charles had wanted to bring his new bride to meet the Welsh people as soon as possible, and crowds filled the streets for a chance of seeing their first Princess of Wales for over 70 years. A 3-day tour of continual walkabouts, functions and speeches, it was a daunting ordeal for any royal newcomer, and to begin with, Diana was careful to follow her husband's lead. But the warmth of the reception and her own enthusiasm soon took over, and she launched into her new role with increasing confidence. Her youth and charm made her an instant success with all age groups, but children still got special attention. She seemed a natural at the complex technique of the walkabout. A chat here, a touch there. She showed an intuitive feel for what was required. But Wales in October means the inevitable downpour, and by the 3rd day, the royal party was having to take cover. There were even thoughts of going home. But many in the crowd had been waiting for over 3 hours, and she seemed determined not to let them down. This was no fair weather princess. Rain or not, the people had come to meet her, and she obviously felt that the least she could do was stay and say hello. The final dinner celebrated a successful first tour and the Welsh people's evident pride in their new princess. But for real relaxation, Diana is happiest on a beach. The Caribbean island of Necker, owned by millionaire businessman Richard Branson, makes an ideal holiday spot. It's an island paradise where she can spend a few days away from it all with her mother, Mrs. Shand Kidd, and sisters Lady Jane Fellows and Lady Sarah McCorquodale. No husbands here, just the womenfolk and their children. Constantly being in the public eye doesn't come naturally to Princess Diana. Born on the 1st of July, 1961, she is in many ways a typical Cancerian. She's a home builder, conscious of the welfare of others, but extremely sensitive and easily hurt. And she's a rebel, a characteristic inherited from her mother, Frances. She shocked society when she left Diana's father, Earl Spencer. But for now, it's a time for play, a precious break from her hectic schedule of public engagements. Surrounded by her young sons and their cousins, she can happily sit in the sand and enjoy all the fun of the seaside. A bucket and spade holiday far removed from the royal family's usual breaks in the Scottish Highlands. But despite this love of foreign travel, the Spencers can claim more aristocratic English blood than the Royal Windsors themselves, and annual visits to Scotland do bring the Prince and Princess of Wales together for more traditional holidays. Midsummer is always reserved for Balmoral, the Queen's private castle and 40,000-acre estate in Aberdeenshire. The summer break has been a highlight of the royal calendar since Queen Victoria's reign, and Queen Elizabeth likes to maintain this tradition by gathering her family around her. But even on holiday, there are still public duties to attend to during the 3 months in Scotland. At the famous Braemar Highland Games, the royal family are welcomed to the local celebrations by the Lord Lieutenant of Aberdeenshire. They are honoured guests, but the emphasis is on informality and relaxing among friends. All the royal family identify strongly with their Scottish heritage. The Queen Mother is a Scot herself. Her family castle is Glamis, made famous by Shakespeare in Macbeth, and she also has her own Scottish retreat, the Castle of May, to which she loves to escape whenever she can. But Diana is no stranger to Scotland either. Her mother owns a farm on the Isle of Seal off the west coast, and she remembers many happy holidays there during her childhood. Although she now prefers to head for the sun, this early experience allows her to appreciate the traditions of the royal family in Scotland. She also enjoys the opportunity to play on the tartan theme. She's chosen a dress by Catherine Walker with a matching tam o' shanter hat. Prince Charles, of course, always wears one of his many kilts, but Diana's variation is perfect for the occasion. Her vivacious personality makes her a welcome visitor each year, and she's warmly greeted by Frances Farquharson, wife to the Laird of Invercald. The Braemar Games are a full day of celebration, a time to show off the year's achievements and take advantage of the summer sun. Bagpipes and dancing, all ages join in, and competition is fierce. For non-participants, it's a spectacle to sit back and enjoy, and there's plenty to watch and comment on, with throwing the hammer only one of the many ancient sports on show. Diana excels in the role of the fashionable young woman. Her style and taste for good clothes make her stand out among the more conventionally dressed members of the royal family. For a visit to Sandringham's parish church, she wore a simple and elegant two-piece suit by David Sassoon, with an eye-catching trim. The hat was carefully matched by milliner Philip Somerville. Even Prince Harry gets to wear a brightly coloured coat. Diana takes great pleasure in the theatricality of being royal, and this delight in the dramatic first showed itself during their tour of Italy in April 1985. Against the romantic backdrop of canals and Venetian extravagance, her choice of costume revealed a practiced eye for gaining the maximum effect. The Italians are a demonstrative people, quick with their speeches and eager to show their feelings. Diana is well aware that even when apparently alone and sitting in the audience, royalty is still the centre stage. A quiet moment surveying a place where Roman drama all began is still an event to be watched, a scene in a continuous royal theatre with the... Whatever the background, and particularly on the more formal occasions, Diana looks well on the public stage of royalty, the pomp and circumstance that is so central to the British crown. Putting on a show is an inescapable part of being royal. The grand palace settings and timeless traditions demand a performance. A born performer, Diana's childhood ambition was to be a ballet dancer, and in the role of royal consort, her enthusiasm contrasts with Charles' contentment to play his part in a lower key. Perhaps it's as well she never realised her dream of being a prima ballerina. Instead, she's succeeded in making the whole world her stage, and her role as Princess of Wales a constantly dazzling spectacle. She's joined the royal parade and added a new dimension of style and beauty. For this ride, she's cool and serene in a classic Catherine Walker creation. Prince William and Prince Harry will continue the royal tradition, following their mother's example, just as she has been heir to the heritage of dignified royal service exemplified by the Queen Mother. Generation follows generation in this royal family firm. By now, audiences all over the world had fallen for the Princess of Wales. Much of her success was due to her stunning sense of fashion, and overseas tours soon became the showcase for Diana's most stylish outfits. Very early on, she decided to wear only British fashion. It's her way of flying the flag. For a grand dinner in Indonesia, she chose a sleek satin design by David and Elizabeth Emanuel. For a tour of Saudi Arabia, the Emanuels again created a monochrome ball gown in the grand style, together with an elegant evening dress of more simple line, with an unusual shell detail for the shoulder. And for a visit to Paris, she broke her British-only rule and arrived in a Chanel creation. It was the ultimate compliment. And although it was back to British design for the rest of the trip, the fashion capital of the world was charmed. At the Elysee Palace, the cross-channel accord suddenly found a new focus. But at home, clothes are not a priority. As she said herself, clothes are for the job. My husband likes me to be smart and presentable, but fashion isn't my big thing at all. Her private wardrobe certainly favours the relaxed look, with a surprising touch of rakish masculinity. But royal status has always demanded appropriate formal dress, and Diana has set standards of elegance only she can maintain. Her public now expect the very best. As a world leader in fashion, her high-profile support for the British fashion industry is thought to have saved it from extinction. She's a walking advertisement for homegrown excellence, a trendsetter who's managed to stop the French and Italians in their tracks. One of her favourite designers, Catherine Walker, created this striking outfit, but other names include Victor Edelstein, Bruce Oldfield and Caroline Charles. Hats, too, are now back in fashion thanks to her, and the British millinery industry has seen a complete renaissance. But such style doesn't come cheap. In a decade, she's built up a wardrobe worth over £1.2 million, with more than 750 different outfits. There have been accusations of extravagance, but she's now expected to live up to her stylish reputation. Just the grooming of her hair by trusted advisor Richard Dalton has an annual bill of £10,000. And jewellery, both real and costume, is another expensive but necessary finishing touch. But most of the cost is met by an allowance from Charles' hereditary estate, the Duchy of Cornwall, and the Foreign Office tops it up for the extra demands of overseas tours. A large wardrobe is one of the perks of the job, but she's far from being just an elegant clothes horse. She shares Prince Charles' strong sense of public duty and sees her real worth as someone who can use her position to good effect. On a visit to a charity event in London's East End, she reveals a knack of making everyone she meets feel important.
Where am I first? I am. All right, then I'm good. Sorry.
She projects great charm and has an intuitive feel for each occasion's mood and an immediate rapport with people from all walks of life. She works the crowd with ease and is a natural successor to the Queen Mother in the people's affections. Above all, she's a communicator. The number of official engagements she undertakes increases every year, underlining her growing commitment to charity work. She's now involved with over 35 different causes. As Princess of Wales, she isn't obliged to take on as much as she does, but it's her genuine interest and concern which drives her increasing workload, and she fully supports the Prince of Wales' motto, I serve. But she's no wish just to be a figurehead. Her style is to get right down to ground level and give as much help as possible. And charity work is by no means a soft option. Her determination to combat such problems as drug abuse, AIDS and alcoholism has shown she's not afraid to work at the sharp end of social problems. The issues are serious, but she keeps a sense of perspective, and it's her warmth and sense of fun that people remember most from her visits. Her reputation as a caring figure is now international. In Indonesia, she insisted on visiting a leper hospital, determined to see for herself what help and care was available. Lepers, the ancient untouchables, were seen to be accepted, and as with her earlier contact with AIDS patients, another myth was disproved. Her one action achieved what doctors had been trying for years. During an official tour of Nigeria, it was the plight of sick babies in a government hospital that were the focus of her attention. Children have always been a particular concern, and as well as presenting a personal gift of an incubator and drugs, the visit also helped concentrate world attention on the general need for aid. But there must always be time off from the demands of public life, and when King Juan Carlos invited the Wales to join his family for a holiday at their summer palace, Diana jumped at the chance of showing her son something other than the cold and wet of Balmoral. Charles wasn't so sure, but it turned out to be a great success, and photographers captured the relaxed atmosphere, even if the host dogs didn't quite rise to the occasion. Compared to the strict routines of British royal households, the Spanish royals prefer to keep formalities to a minimum, and at their holiday retreat on the island of Majorca, Juan Carlos and his wife, Queen Sofia, encouraged guests to adopt their more flexible ways. Under the warm Mediterranean sun, a more relaxed Prince Charles seemed to emerge in casual short sleeves and boating shoes. For Diana, too, the sun worked its charm. Motherhood fulfilled one of her earliest ambitions, and as her second son had now reached the age of wanting to explore, she seemed to particularly enjoy watching his curiosity develop. Such a huge crowd of press photographers was obviously a little daunting to begin with, but a 3-year-old looks to his elder brother for a lead, and the more experienced Prince William was already sizing them up. Harry's finger was soon in its usual place, and the youngest member of the Wales family began to rather enjoy being the centre of so much attention. Prince William is a spirited little boy, taking after the Spencers in his confidence and determination. Diana has described him affectionately as her little thug. In contrast, Prince Harry has inherited his father's more sensitive approach. His is a thoughtful, peaceful personality, often described by observers as laid back. As a mother, Diana understands their different natures and tries to bring out the best in both of them. She's certainly more protective of her younger son and likes to try and shield him from the harsher effects of public attention. At the school sports day, she was again there to support her sons. It's an important fixture in any child's calendar, a day not to be missed. Wetherby's 120 boys range from 4.5 years to 9 years old, and are mainly from local, affluent families. Amongst the excited crowd of parents, Diana was for once just another mum, free of the responsibility of having to give a performance herself. A day off from public duties, all her thoughts were focused on encouraging Harry in his first competition. And the race was on. A natural sportswoman herself, Diana's enthusiasm was infectious, and Harry ran a true course straight into his mother's waiting arms. Though not amongst the winners, he was still carried off in triumph by his proud mum. There's a strong sports tradition on both sides of the family. The Windsors excel in horsemanship, the Spencers in swimming and tennis. Prince William's race was on next, and exuberant as ever, the heir to the throne was on the start line raring to go. William finds it difficult to keep still even for a moment, and now there's just time for a quick dance routine to get wound up for the race. But soon it was Diana's turn to face some competition. Barefoot and jostling for position, there was no royal preference. It was just mother against mother. But her efforts paid off. A wide smile, and it was a photo finish. "It's the first time in my life I've ever won anything like this," she said. But outside, the press pack waits. In her role as the people's princess, media interest is unrelenting, and die-mania is a massive industry. There's little escape from the probing lenses of the world's press. This photo opportunity in Closters took place the day before Charles narrowly missed death in an avalanche which killed his friend, Major Hugh Lindsay. Since the tragedy, Diana no longer accompanies her husband on skiing holidays, but she enjoys the sport despite the occasional tumble. Fergie's arrival on the royal scene coincided with Diana's own need to expand her personal horizons. With both sons at school, she now had time on her hands and wanted to break out of the tight circle of friends Charles provided. Sarah Ferguson showed the way by introducing her to a younger set and proving the value of just having fun. The Fergie factor was to be the catalyst in Diana finding herself during her mid-20s. For the new, confident Diana, the Duchess of York soon became a trusted friend, as well as the provider of a great many laughs. Both have sharp wits and share the same irreverent sense of humour. As a royal duchess, now confined within the same palace protocol, Fergie was the one person with whom she could really let off steam, a vital safety valve for a princess beginning to flex her independent muscles. As sisters-in-law, they enjoy an alliance of mutual support based on friendship and a commoner's need to never take the humbug of royal life too seriously. Together, they've also brought valuable new blood into a family which is essentially of German stock. By diluting the Windsors' European-based bloodline, they have at least ensured that future generations will be able to claim a more British ancestry. In practical terms, Fergie has taken the pressure off Diana to always be the one on duty. On this occasion, it's the Duchess of York's turn to do the honours at the end of a polo match at Smith's Lawn, and Diana is able to sit back and enjoy the luxury of just being a mum on the sidelines, even if her eldest son is getting fidgety. Today, it's a real family affair with Charles in the winning lineup of his Maple Leaf team. But William has lost interest, and it's up to Diana to try and instill some enthusiasm. The prize giver hurries back to get in out of the rain and is greeted by a young spectator with a sudden revived interest. But it's immediately back to the safety of mum and a pensive suck of a finger. There's certainly a lot of waiting around at polo matches, but the players do finally come in off the field, and if your dad has just won the major prize, it's worth giving him an enthusiastic welcome. The Duke and Duchess of York's move to their new house in Berkshire has meant that the two brothers and their wives now see less of each other. But with Fergie's father, Major Ferguson, acting as Charles' polo manager, weekend matches are a favourite meeting place for the whole family. Fergie's status may be of lower ranking, but together it will be these two women who will shape the future style of royalty, and her initial influence was certainly vital in the emergence of a more independent Princess of Wales. Marriage had also meant getting used to Charles' passion for playing polo. For him, it's the perfect way to relax and let off steam in the jostle of a good match. His family are frequent spectators, and the preferred form of transport is Charles' most treasured possession, his Aston Martin. But on occasion, he's had to remind his wife not to use its bonnet as a seat. Caught out, there's an embarrassed retreat, but she inevitably sees the funny side of any situation, and at least the horses are friendly. As heir to the British throne, Charles' marital state is seen as having direct relevance to the health of the monarchy, and the royal couple's relationship is closely watched. They're a high-profile double act, with all the attendant pressures that can put on a personal life. A royal consort is expected to be calm and supportive at all times, and although Diana was quick to learn the royal routine, the strain began to show, and she lost a lot of weight. There was speculation that the marriage was in trouble. But for Diana, divorce is out of the question, having experienced the traumas of her own parents' breakup as a child. When there's tension between them, her instinctive reaction is to withdraw into herself, and Charles finds this difficult. But these were just growing pains, natural in a strong-willed woman who'd been married at 20, a mother by 21, and was only now beginning to explore her independence. Charles, too, needed time to adjust to his young wife's more social interests, so different to his own love of solitude, painting, and quiet contemplation in the sand dunes of Scotland. Compromise and a mutual understanding of each other's needs has resulted in a stronger marriage. During the long summers in Scotland, it's now accepted that Diana can escape back to London for some city excitement with William and Harry. Though they now lead essentially separate lives with different friends and interests, Diana and Charles are united by their love for the children and affection for each other. Theirs is a flexible arrangement. But in an emergency, their support for each other is immediate. When Charles broke his arm in a serious fall from a polo pony, he was out of action for several months. Diana took on his duties and helped him through this difficult and painful time. Full of surprises, their life takes them to every part of the globe, and only they can truly appreciate each other's problems in this endless round of public duties. They interact smoothly as a professional team. A children's race on the sidelines results in a neck-and-neck photo finish, much to their amusement. It's a rare moment of light relief in the heavy schedule of a golf tour. Carefully dressed to observe local custom, Diana is immediately taken with the relaxed seating arrangements for lunch, almost forgetting to make room for her husband. They share a wry sense of humour, and such a novel eating position causes mutual amusement. With a shorthand of glances and gestures, they have their own language of communication, a personal form of emotional sustenance during the long periods of public exposure. With all the external pressures, they've learned to rely on each other, and it's a relationship moulded by public constrictions and an intuitive trust. The grand passion of the early days has been replaced by a mature and understanding friendship. As a natural sportswoman, bowling, even in the heat of Indonesia, was something she could definitely handle. A good follow-through, and the ball headed straight for the feet of the waiting press. Not a bad target to aim for. Humour is her favourite ploy. While wrapped up in a kimono, she tries out a few steps. But in Canada, it was Charles who couldn't seem to walk straight. In Diana, laughter is never far from the surface, but in the heat and humidity of Asia, it was too exhausting to even think of trying to laugh. The importance of family life is one of the main threads of her public work, and Diana cherishes the stability of her own. The European royals form a small elite group, and together they can relax and just enjoy the activities of a family on holiday, even if they do have to line up for the usual photo call. There may always be the insatiable curiosity of the paparazzi, but at least Juan Carlos' yacht Fortuna can provide a quick getaway. Public duties and the stress of always being under a spotlight can be exhausting, and quiet times soaking in the sun with a good book are vital to recharge the batteries. If this can be done on a beach in the Caribbean, all the better. And despite the presence of roving cameramen, Diana is never afraid to strip down to a bikini. It's her holiday time, and she likes to take full advantage of the sun's rays, even if her sister Jane is more bashful and prefers to keep her fair skin under cover. Swimming is Diana's other great relaxation. As a water sign, Cancerians love the sea. During her school days, she excelled as both a swimmer and diver, and she's concentrated on water sports ever since. It's an important part of her daily routine. At home, she swims every morning in the pool at Buckingham Palace. Her 30 lengths of breaststroke is her main form of exercise and helps keep her athletic figure in trim. Swimming is also a natural therapy, a way of summoning the reserves needed for the day's duties. But for now, the pressures of public life can be forgotten, even if offshore patrols still have to repel boatloads of intrepid photographers. Sun, sea and sand are her favourite combination, and whether in the Mediterranean or Caribbean, she feels at home in the traditional playgrounds of the wealthy. It's all a far cry from the chilly pleasures of the Queen's royal estates, but for Diana, it's a true escape. Membership of the British royal family demands sacrifices. Spencer relations, even her mother, have had to step back and allow Diana to be fully integrated into the close-knit world of her in-laws. The Queen is pleased with how her daughter-in-law has settled in and well aware of her role in revitalising the monarchy's image. At the Queen Mother's 90th birthday celebrations, 4 generations of the royal line were on show, and the public's continuing affection for their royal family was obvious. To survive, a 20th century monarchy must move with the times, while somehow retaining a mystique, and each generation must bring its own style to the task. Children are a royal family's lifeline, and public duties start early. For Princess Beatrice and Prince Harry, the view from the Buckingham Palace balcony was definitely getting boring. Marching bands were all very well, but things had gone on for far too long, and a diversion was needed. Mum's hat seemed a good target to start with. Perhaps if pulled hard enough, it might come off. Oops, too late. The attack had been spotted, but there was something really worth trying to grab hold of. But why are things always so out of reach? There is the music, I suppose. Why not try a quick dance? We can practice a few steps. That's it, we've got the rhythm going. However, Mother doesn't think so, so that's that, and it's back to the marching bands. Controlling young children under the eagle eye of the cameras is only one of the many skills she's had to master. 10 years into the role of royal consort finds Diana poised, mature, and happy in her life's work. She's come a long way since she first stood on this balcony and waved to the crowds on her wedding day.
They do everything they
There were no role models, no well-defined rules to follow. As Princess of Wales, she's had to find her own way, and in a process of trial and error, she's made few mistakes and survived with flying colours. She's managed to find the right balance between public duties and the demands of being a wife and mother. Amongst all the pomp and ceremony of the world's oldest surviving monarchy, she's retained her openness and charm, and it's her sense of fun that has most contributed to her success. Her experience has moulded her into a much-admired public performer. Wherever she appears, she captivates her audience. Despite an average of at least one public engagement for every day of the year, her enthusiasm never wanes. The public have come to see her, and she's not going to let them down. Composed and confident, she's still the accessible face of royalty, someone people feel able to talk to, even confide in. Her style and beauty have brought an image of royalty to grace the pages of magazines and newspapers all over the world, and her determination to only wear British fashions in public is a unique contribution to a national industry. As she reaches her 30th year, she radiates an inner peace. Comfortable in herself and with her public routine, she's found a new vitality matched with a poised assurance. As one friend put it, she seems contented, satisfied in the company of her family. Diana enters her next decade with a maturity and experience beyond her years. She's still the fairy tale princess with the heart of gold, but she's also a future queen and has now taken her place beside her husband with style and confidence. For Diana, Princess of Wales, it's been a glorious 10 years.